We're so colorful. And we're live!
Yay, we're here for the regular end of season stream.
Yes.
How are you guys going? There's only a few of you here, so
Yeah. But more now.
say hi if you.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to, really.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Ray.
Hey.
Hello, Ray.
How are you doing?
Oh shit.
That's weird.
Okay, so it's coming through on my
Turn
phone.
that off.
Yeah.
We just have the chat part on the phone.
Yes.
And yeah.
Heavenly Shade, how are you doing?
Hi.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I tend to have the chat open on my phone so that it's not so far away. Just Man Bun, how you doing?
Hey, yeah.
How's it going? Didn't think I could make it this time of day, something worked out.
That's
great.
Good. Yeah. Obviously, it's always hard to make it work out from like everywhere in the world,
It's one of the biggest problems with doing live streams, I guess for YouTubers in general, just because YouTube is kind of an international situation.
Yeah.
But I tend to find for us in particular, being Australian, the logistics of time don't work out where like the majority of the people who watch us are not Australian. Obviously some are. We have
but like few.
We have a few Aussies, but it's like 4%. And that's kind of the same regardless of what channel we're on. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So for anyone, I guess, catching up after the fact or who isn't on Patreon, just a quick sort of explainer here is that at the end of every season of Buffy, and now Angel as well, we basically just have a small Q&A to discuss the previous season. We'll have a few questions from Patreon, and if anyone in the chat also has questions, obviously that's great. Yeah. We did have at least one person asking last time if we're coming back to the YouTube channel to post YouTube videos, and the answer is still not no. We'd really like to. I have, since we stopped posting our Buffy videos on YouTube, I have thought over and over again about how we could make it work, and I've never really come up with any answers, which is very disappointing for us, Yeah. Wanting to doing the Buffy channel was like something that we really wanted to do for a long time. Yeah. Buffy's one of her favorite shows. I'd been meaning to watch it for a very, very long time. Yeah. So it was a bit of a passion project for us, and it didn't really work out in terms of, at least in overall work balance, the form that we wanted it to take, the way we do it. Yeah. I know there are a lot of reaction channels who are capable of getting out their videos a lot more quickly with a lot less effort. Realistically, I don't fully know how they do it. I only talk to like 3 or 4 other YouTubers, 5 other YouTubers behind the scenes. And none of them is a TV channel. None of them are TV channels. No, a kind of a different thing. A lot of them make shorter videos. They do. Yeah. So I definitely get some advice here and there from other channels on how to make videos more quickly and easily, and those have been good. But not that helped us in this case. Hasn't made a massive difference in this case. Yeah, for sure. I like the hair. Thank you so much. Me too. I like how it's fading out of the blue as well. Yeah. I kind of did like the stronger blue, but I kind of like that it's like it's kind of purpley now. It's kind of somewhere it's purple, somewhere it's gray, kind of the opposite. Gray, blue, purple. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely like that. Yeah. Heavenly Shade is in Canada, but usually can't get on until much later, 5 p.m. here. That's fair. Obviously, we're trying to make it work for like different continents. Multiple different time zones. Yes. Yeah. And like, yes, realistically, there are different time zones even on one continent. But yeah, just trying to make it work with at least like 2 different continents is already kind of hard, because if we go a little too early, if we go a little too late in America, or like a little bit later, America and Canada and North America continent, I mean, it's going to be too late for anybody in Europe and even like some Asian countries. So yeah. And it's also quite early for Australia. So
Yeah, and of course, like we can't really like we don't never know for sure like how many people from where we have.
yeah,
At least like obviously right now. Yeah.
yeah. Maybe posting out a few key big episodes might be
That's
worth it. I
gonna
mean,
be
these
a
are really good
lot of
reviews to earn
work.
a couple of money. Okay,
It,
so that is a good idea in terms of
mhm,
creatively, like just from a pure joy and passion
absolutely.
perspective, because it would be really, really nice to be able to just have some more Buffy and Angel episodes go up on YouTube
Of
simply
course.
because we fucking love it.
We
You
want
know,
to
it's because
share
it's
it,
something that
yeah.
we want to do.
Hmm.
However, the earnings it's not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say we get like 20K, which is 4 times what we would usually get on any
Yeah.
Buffy episode. It would probably bring in about $30, you know.
And like,
And it just doesn't
yeah, the work that we will put into that video,
for several days work
yeah,
into that kind of thing. It
doesn't come
doesn't
close.
function.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it is really disappointing. And I mean,
Hmm.
like part of the problem there is the way YouTube has, I don't know, made things function. There's a certain amount, I think, certain amount of like greed from the corporate side of things where they want most of the revenue earnings. They also take a large chunk of like fan donation type things, which is why we don't really promote like super thanks, super chats,
Yeah.
YouTube memberships, that kind of thing. YouTube takes a big cut, so it makes it quite difficult to actually make that work. I think one of the main reasons a lot of other channels make it work is actually the quantity situation. They post so many videos and they manage to do it in such an efficient way that it kind of evens out.
Mm.
But we're just not that quick.
Honestly, like in terms of like you said, the cut and memberships, it doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't.
You mean even if they
That
change the
part,
cut?
yeah. Well, no, if
No,
they
it wouldn't
change,
make a
that would be
difference.
good. But
Yeah.
right, as it is, it doesn't matter how much you're posting.
Mm.
Just that like fact that they take that big cut is like, it's not even as bad for us. It's bad for both because like if somebody wants to
Support
sign
the
up,
channel. Yeah.
support the channel either by signing up or like giving a
They
donation,
end up
and
giving
knowing
more
that a
money to
large cut
YouTube.
of that
Yeah.
will go to YouTube, like do you even want to do that?
Yeah.
And that's totally fair. That's exactly like you said, we don't promote that at all.
Yeah.
Because what's the point? You're not actually going to support us as much as you want to, and then like we're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of why like I really only promote Patreon. Like the split is much more reasonable. You know, Patreon is actually, as a company, doing, I don't know, respectable work. It's like a more ethical business
For
practice or whatever.
sure, of course. Yeah. Surprising, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I will probably still continue to think of how I can try to make it work. That I thought recently, you know, like maybe it could sort of have it where it's like there's like 7 or 8 episodes packaged into like a 1 hour video where it's like you are really only getting highlights from each episode, but at least that's something.
Something, sure.
We've never edited things down in such a compact way.
Yeah, which is realistically,
it's tough.
When you already edit it to keep like as much as you can, and like obviously both of the show and our commentary and reaction, right?
Yeah.
It's not actually easier to try and have less stuff in.
Yeah, it's really difficult to go from one extreme to the other. Like
for sure.
Like I throughout my movie buds history, and then also we together throughout our history of making YouTube videos, we've always prioritized trying to make the best quality video that we can put on YouTube, which means including as much of the episode or movie as possible.
Yeah.
And I prefer that because you get to really follow along and feel like you're actually watching along properly, and it's not just like a highlight reel or whatever.
Yeah.
So trying to switch that up and do like a highlight style thing, it's quite creatively challenging.
Honestly, I think
like I find it mentally difficult.
Yeah, it absolutely is difficult. And overall, for us to do that, like I also like I would really, really like to do that. I think that would and will be possible at some point when we absolutely do not need this to like bring us money. Like when this is
Like if we're doing something else, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Like specifically, like if Buffy doesn't need to do that because the work
But
that we put
like
in there.
if we're doing okay for money in some other
Yeah,
fashion,
yeah.
I
Like,
will say that's actually a good point to
but
make.
that's like exactly like it was. Yes, of course. Like it did start more because we wanted to do it, and because I lost my job at that
We
point.
had a little bit of leeway.
Yes, yeah. We were able to make it work, but of course we did think that it is monetizable. Like this is a job, and it's always been a job for us. It's a great thing
the amount
that we
of work
enjoy
we put
working.
into it makes it a job.
Yeah. But like we love this, but yeah, at this point it's gonna be like we gotta be making money in other ways. Because this is like no matter how hard we try to make this specifically work to post Buffy episodes in some fashion, it's not gonna bring us like not even like bring us money, but just like we're not gonna be paid for the work that we do.
Yeah, it really reminds me of how over the last like 20-30 years, the overall entertainment industry has deprioritized music in terms of like finances so heavily that most musicians can't really make a living unless they're like a really big deal. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like for me with the movie buds, we had to average at least 50,000 views to make any kind of living. And I was like, I realized after a while, I'm like, that's kind of crazy. You have like 50,000 people watching every video you do, and like that's just like paying the rent. That's insane. And now, to be fair, I know that there are some other people who have a much better understanding of how to actually make entertainment a business. And
ethically, also, because obviously there are ways to do it that are just not good.
Yeah, honestly, the easiest ways to make money on YouTube are not very ethical. So
yeah, like they're pretty shitty.
I actually try to avoid those.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of a pain. Like I avoid sponsorships at all costs these days because like 90% of them are just trash. You know, and that's a big chunk of money right there.
Yeah.
I've turned down some pretty big offers in the past, and I don't regret it, but I do wish I had the money.
Rough to think about it, but staying on course with actually.
Yeah, we're getting a little.
Yes, we're getting a little sidetracked because of course, like these things
track.
are important, and you know, if you guys want to know how things work, especially. But we have Buffy and Angel now.
Yes.
Which you know what? Before we go any further, we actually have a DVD box set for Angel.
We do. We couldn't
actually
figure out the best way to make it work so we were watching directly from the DVDs.
Yes, yeah. But we do have it.
DVD box sets. So that's fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring it up.
Oh yeah, you go get them.
Yes.
I'm just gonna
actually
look at the chat over here.
I kept like looking and like, hi Sue.
Yeah.
Just what I kept coming back in my mind to it.
Yes. Sue says hi from Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, hello, Sue. How you doing?
Yeah.
Denise says, I was having an annoying day. Seeing this up definitely helped. Love the content. Oh, thanks, Denise.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, obviously, guys, if we will get to the questions on Patreon, obviously.
Yes.
But if you have any questions, thought processes, what you want us to discuss about the show, and specifically Buffy season 4 and Angel season 1, obviously bring it up.
Yeah.
Look at this.
The Angel box set. Hilariously, it's the second half of season 1.
Yeah, like there's 3 discs for the second part.
So she actually had to hide some of this from me.
I had to literally put it the other way, so it's not clear that Wes is on the picture here.
Yeah, because we got this DVD box set near actually the start of Angel.
Yes.
And she had to hide it from me so I didn't get any spoilers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh my god, don't look. When we got it and you had it, and I'm like, you know what? You don't look in the box. I know, right?
Heavenly Shade says, I'm still watching on Patreon, so it's all good with me, but I thought maybe those might have been worth it, but it's not. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, thank you for bringing it up. And
yes,
I do appreciate people sort of trying to chime in and have suggestions
come up
and
with
stuff.
Ideas. Yeah.
It is tough when I think it's just not always super clear how the back end of YouTube works.
Oh my god.
And there's also that issue of that it's a little bit different for different channels, different audiences, different demographics. Not everyone makes the same actual amount of money. The hilarious thing is that our channels, both Buffy, our movies, my Movie Buds channel, actually all do pretty well in terms of the actual percentage of money from ad revenue. But it's still not good enough. You know what I mean? Like in terms of how much it actually brings in. Like some of the videos I've done for the Movie Buzz recently have literally brought in like 20, $30, and it's only functioning because of the overall like library of videos that
stuff.
I've done
Yeah,
over like the span of 4 years.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah. Okay, where are we?
In the chat, Story of Ray.
Yes. Yeah, I know a few YouTube creators that have moved to Nebula. I'm not sure if it's available to creators outside the US because of the corporate stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Nebula seems like a really cool platform.
Yeah.
I don't know of any reaction and commentary type channels that are
Like
on
video
Nebula.
essays, stuff like that, definitely.
Nebula, I think that they have like a not invite only policy, but like I don't know if they actually accept reaction channels. I don't know if we count as cool enough.
Highbrow content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously,
There's
we'd
a lot
have
of
to look
really
into
cool
it.
creators.
Yeah,
Like I
but
know
yeah,
Todd in the
we
Shadows
know
is on Nebula.
exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like there are
Todd.
definitely some cool things there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also don't know where it's available, and
Nebula, yeah.
Yeah, considering we're not planning on staying here, even if it's available here, doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work because we are like moving.
Yeah,
from
in terms of country, we're going to be moving from Australia at some point, even if it's
hopefully
not
sooner rather than
full
later.
time. But Australia has become Little America in a lot of ways, like in terms of corporatization, mergers and acquisitions, monopolies and all that kind of stuff. Actually, Australia has like some of the most prominent monopolies in the world, which is kind of messed up. But yeah, it's really made living here quite difficult. Like I think 2 out of the top 10 most expensive cities in the world are in Australia. Sydney's number 2 and Adelaide's number 7. I think Melbourne's actually in there as well.
That like Adelaide is the one that's also on the list,
actually
right?
Crazy. Adelaide's a small city. Like it shouldn't be that expensive. Nonetheless, the cost of living in Australia is like really, 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 really bad. Number 2 behind Hong Kong in Sydney. So that's not amazing. So we want to move to Eastern Europe, preferably Ukraine.
Yeah, obviously, of course. Like overall, we are planning to move there.
Still currently being invaded isn't exactly an ideal situation.
Yeah. But sometimes I definitely do think that it would be absolutely more viable for us to live there now, even now, than here.
It's actually...
Which is crazy to think about.
There's a certain amount of tragicomic.
Yes, absolutely.
And the idea that would be like literally easier to live in a war zone than to live in like an Australian, American, or like English city. Basically, the major Western world powers. I think New Zealand's coming up on the too expensive to live in as well.
Too bad. I thought they were a little like
better,
more chill.
I think they're a touch better in Australia, but not much.
Yeah.
So
fair.
Yeah. Just man, I'd like to join the Patreon someday. I hope the videos will always be there even long after you finish the show. Yes. So most definitely that our Patreon, because our Patreon is now like a joint situation where we have all of our Buffy episodes, all of our Angel episodes, obviously, but we're also posting all of our movies from our Sam and Maria channel on the Patreon. And then I also post all of my solo videos on our joint Patreon as well. So that everyone who's on the Sam and Maria, the buffs on the Patreon, is pretty much getting as much value as we can possibly provide. And then there are obviously a certain amount of people who only want my solo content. So I do have a solo Patreon for my solo movie reactions as well. But everything that we do is on our joint Patreon, including music. Yay. Literally one song. I posted literally one original song.
It'll be more.
It'll be more. I hope to have more free time to make and post music. And I do want to post them outside of Patreon. I just, time and energy and brain power are a bit sketchy.
On the topic of still like seasons long after and all that, we also have, aside from just like obviously signing up as usual, and all of them are there. Yes, we did put like individual seasons in packages, so you can just like get a specific season.
I mean, I do think that the actual subscription is like the most value for money, because realistically, you can sign up for literally 1 month and get
But
everything.
that's still available, and I really think it's cool when they like
I
introduce
think
that
it's cool that
idea
you
of
have the
like
shop
being
option.
able,
Of course,
to just like get something, and it's
especially for those people who only want like a specific thing.
Yes, and it's not like renting it on YouTube or anything. You actually will have access to it.
Yeah, it's
Not
also
like
a thing
it's not
like
gonna expire.
for anyone who's like subscribing or buying anything on Patreon. If you want to download it, you can do that.
Yes.
So the option isn't always there, but like you can always just message us, and I'll literally like send you the download link or just the file. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We actually, that's like a big thing for us that we try to take care of, to make sure that all of our videos are always available and will be.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a thing that we actually needed to figure out, because a lot of like storage spaces are actually not that good in terms of,
ran out of storage
there's just
space
not enough space. And we found
Yeah.
actually the best one out of them.
Yeah.
And even then there's like not enough. So we just ended up making another account to have more space, because we don't want them to just disappear, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Okay, so we've.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel. How you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll kind of quickly go through these next few questions, because it's all pretty small stuff, and then let's actually talk about Buffy, because you know.
Oh, absolutely.
We're already streaming 20 minutes now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm also kind of like waiting to make sure that the people who ask the questions are here.
That's true.
But
yeah,
we're both right in that.
Yeah.
Big spoiler. LOL. I know. Yeah. For
Even though I did kind of predict that, still.
What do you mean? Like
in Buffy, I literally said was going to be a main character in Buffy, like, in Angel.
Or he might like go there.
Well, I definitely said it was a possibility.
Yeah.
But it happened, and I was like,
But obviously, like you said it before we even got there, before we like got Doyle and like the first setup, you were like, oh yeah, he could be there.
Who's a thinker now? What do you think you move? Yeah, so Eastern Europe, obviously.
Ukraine preferably, but then there are several countries that we can at least like be on and off.
Yeah.
In and out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I know we kind of already answered this, but just to be clear, we live in Australia, Sydney, Australia. It's where I was born and raised, and for quite a long time, Sydney, Australia, or just Australia in general, was actually a very good place to live, like overall in terms of like financially and just like society, all that kind of stuff. But the Australian businesses have really seen how much money you can squeeze out of the people from like the American model, and that hasn't been amazing.
Plus, your housing model is even worse.
Oh, the housing model, like the way Australia builds houses, is like literally some of the worst in like the modern world. We have like the longest build times, the longest approval times in the Western world. So there's like more people than houses. There's a lot of people who like living on the streets who absolutely shouldn't be. They have like full-time jobs and stuff.
Yeah. Not gonna get into it too much, but
crazy.
These things are interesting, and like I find them interesting. So if you guys find anything interesting, let us know.
Yeah. Ray liked my song. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. It's not the happiest song, but it's the song I'm proud of. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm definitely looking forward to some other songs.
Yeah, well, because you're the only person who's heard like all of my. Well, you and my sister.
Yes, of course.
And Steph. To be fair, Steph has technically heard all. He was around for.
Makes sense.
They were around for a lot of the songwriting processes.
Aww.
There's even a couple of times where Steph suggested like a different word or like lyric or something to like make something function better. A couple of times they were like, "This doesn't really make sense to me." I was like, "Oh, okay, I can rewrite that."
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Patreon. I was going back to watch your Rip Girls commentary, but since it was uploaded on Google Drive, it's not there anymore. What happened to? Wait, what? It's not there anymore?
Oh, that's exactly what we were talking about. These things happen, and it's good that you brought it up. We'll fix that.
Yeah, Daniel will have to look into it.
Things expire on Google Drive.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually one thing. When we were, as I said, we looked through different places to store our videos, right? And partly why Google Drive wasn't a very good one, because there's a limited number of watches you can get there, and then it's like unavailable.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll obviously have to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So yeah, Daniel will try to figure it out, and even if we can't, we can always just send you like a copy of the file or whatever.
Mhm.
We do have it uploaded to Streamable, right?
I hope so.
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean, we did
okay.
have everything uploaded to
I don't
upload
think
to
I
Streamable.
can't I
After
can't imagine
we.
we would have deleted it from either Streamable or Google Drive.
Well, I also don't think that would happen.
That doesn't make any sense.
Everything that we did have on Google Drive to begin with, we did upload to Streamable. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
You know what? We obviously got to look
We'll have
into
to
it
look
and
into
then
it.
let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interested in the music?
Yay.
Thank you. Much appreciated. I'm interested to put it on YouTube. Well, YouTube and Spotify, my sort of long-term plan for music was just to like put singles, like basically like the old school model, put singles on like Spotify and YouTube and stuff like that as like promotion, and then like if I was in any way capable of making like a full album or whatever, like most of those songs would just be, I don't know, on Patreon or. See, there used to be CDs, like tapes and stuff, but I don't really know. I don't know how I would do that. I mean, maybe I could put everything on YouTube and Spotify. It just hurts when Spotify pays almost nothing.
Yeah.
Spotify is just ripping off music so hard.
Well, it would be really nice to actually have a CD or a cassette.
Yeah, it would be.
Uh-huh.
I just like the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could have both CDs and tapes.
Yay.
That'd be fun.
Yay.
Okay, so should we get to the questions from Patreon, because we're kind of just chatting here.
Yeah. We should get there and then like continue with what's happening in the chat. Obviously, yeah.
So I know there's a few more questions in the chat. I appreciate that. We will come back to that soon. We really only have like 3 Patreon questions, so we're just going to answer those and then we'll come back to the chat. Yes. Do you want to take the first one or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely do that.
Do that.
Do you want to give me the laptop?
No, I thought you wrote them down.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay. Damn.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. So the first question was from Paul Komorowski.
Yeah.
If I can't be there live, I will at least watch the recording.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you would let us know if you're in here, but if you watch it later, here it is. For Maria.
One second. Heavenly Shade had to go to make dinner, so bye.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Were there any surprises and or new insights that stick out in these seasons? I'm assuming both Buffy and Angel, right? You were
Elise messaged. She also had a question, so I was just opening it to make sure.
Okay, cool. Well, obviously I'm gonna get to answering, but then there's obviously a question for you too.
Okay.
Surprises and new insights. I would say somewhat, yes. I think I never hated Riley. I always were just fine with him, but I think I liked him a little bit more this season. I kind of paid attention a bit more to him in the beginning and him just kind of being there a little bit on the background, just like chatting with people. So I think I liked him a little bit better this season, just because I paid attention a bit more. But the biggest thing I think I have noticed is how disjointed our Scoobies were in this season. Like, I sort of always knew that because, we go, we finish high school, go to uni, and then, Oz leaves. There's, all these things happen. But I think, on this rewatch, I noticed more of these things even throughout the seasons. Like in season 3, how pretty much everybody was, ganging up on Buffy and a bunch of times. And then in season 4, they were just all separated for so much of it. Even though they were together for a lot of it, they were also so separated, not really knowing what's happening in their lives. And it all makes sense,
It's kind of the season of disarray.
Yeah. They all had other things to deal with. Obviously, some things weren't handled well, but that's absolutely understandable. It's just something I think I didn't pay as much attention to, how they weren't actually together as much in this season, which totally makes sense. And another big thing is Tara and Willow. I always liked them, but I think this time I really enjoyed how their relationship was developing. just
Yeah,
from
I
the
think they
very
did a good job with
beginning.
that.
I know,
Yeah.
like up until now, and it's interesting that it's Willow again, because like up until now, the best development of relationship was with Oz and Willow.
Yeah, I
Like it
know.
was so good, and
Yeah.
now we have not the same, but like the same character,
Mm.
but also developing another relationship, and also it's being like written, performed, like executed really well.
Yeah.
Just from the little things from the very beginning. And I always liked them together and like how they got together, but it was always so hard for me to let go of Oz. Like they had such a great relationship, and it was just like every time like he leaves and I know that that's it. It was just so hard that it was like I needed time to process that and then move on to Willow and Tara. And I think this time, because we watched it like every week and sometimes we had like weeks off,
Gave you room to
yes,
process.
it actually gave me time to process this,
Yeah.
and I was able to let go of Oz and Willow, you know, and fully like embrace and get into Willow and Tara and appreciate how their relationship was developing. You know, obviously watching it with you was also a different experience. So a lot of these things are connected. It's not just me watching it like again after a little while or something. It's us watching it together and discussing, and all of these things kind of popping up. So yeah, mostly in Buffy. In Angel, I can't really say that there was like a ton of like new stuff aside from Angel being a bit annoying and self-righteous. But again, it also makes sense, and he's still trying to do the right thing, you know, most of the time. So it's just like little things here and there. And like Angel is such a like the first season of Angel is such like two different shows. As much as there's so like so many common threads throughout the first season, it's still kind of like two big different parts.
Of Angel season one.
With Doyle and Wesley.
It's very distinct halves, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I think I handled it better this time, watching it going from again like the first part of the season to the second part of the season. And I actually appreciate Wesley so much more now. I always liked him and his contributions to the team, and I think they were underrated in a lot of cases. And it's really nice to see that I wasn't wrong. Like the way he's portrayed and like the situations they're in and the contribution, that was really, really cool. So yeah, I guess that is from me.
Okay, sure. How are you feeling after a little over halfway through Buffy and after the beginning of Angel? Good. I mean, one of the reasons why I always wanted to watch these shows is because I knew how heavily they'd influenced so much of everything else I'd watched, and how like directly they connected they are to even things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which obviously there's like the family connection with Jed Whedon being one of the showrunners. Whedon?
I don't know.
Never clear on that one. Nonetheless, yeah. And even kind of having like a somewhat similar basic idea with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Buffy, like you can see the through line there.
Yeah. Like you said, it's just like the main character. It's kind of Giles is the main character, like you said, sort of.
Oh, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well,
yeah.
It's almost like the Giles of that show being Coulson is a little bit more the main character.
He's
Daisy is kind of the main character because it's really it's the two of them.
Yeah.
Whereas in Buffy, it's clearly Buffy
starts
and
more like
just
less. Yeah. Like I think it started just a little bit, just from my one
started a little bit more focused on Coulson for sure. But over time, it becomes clear that
oh no, of course.
Daisy is more or less the main character.
Oh no, for sure.
Or at least the main hero, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been fun watching that. I also like how well written I think a lot of things are, especially for such an early show in the whole like serialization, like superhero type genre. Just there have been shows that came out after it that didn't handle certain things, especially like the relationships between the characters, quite nearly as well. So it's been kind of a breath of fresh air. I actually think that Oz is like one of the best written teenage boy characters in a show in like a long time. Like out of a lot of things I've seen, which is really nice. I mean, and it's definitely in like a somewhat fantasy kind of way because like only so many people are that intelligent. I did find it weird how he ends up sort of not leaving the show, but at least leaving season 4 for that portion of time, because it is a little bit out of character.
Which makes sense, obviously.
But I know they had to sort of pull that together quickly.
Yeah.
But then also, people, even the best of us, do stupid shit sometimes.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, it's still it is out of character, but then it still kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's not infallible.
Yeah, no one's infallible.
Infallible. Infallible.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I really like also through Angel, Doyle is a really, really good character. It's unfortunate that Glenn had his personal problems behind the scenes, that he was struggling so much, and that it ultimately went pretty badly for him as a person after the fact. It was quite sad, but I think he did a really, really, really good job playing that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice. And it also makes sense for the spin-off to have the characters that we have with Angel and Cordy and Wesley sort of making up that main cast, at least for the second half of season 1, because they were all characters who were starting to not really have room for on Buffy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And so they just have another show where they do have room and we can still explore those characters. Yeah. Hoping to see more character growth from Cordy, because she's been a little bit back and forth.
Yeah, I think it just wasn't really prioritized, especially in the second half, I would say.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a certain amount of priority placed on keeping her to a degree the same person.
That's fair, but they can still keep her like straightforwardness and stuff, just
nonetheless.
For sure.
But yeah, that's where we are. I enjoyed both shows quite a lot. I've definitely had a few times recently where I kind of wanted to just go through and start just binge some of the episodes for both shows, and I was like, can't do that.
Yeah.
That's
of course there are advantages and disadvantages to that.
Oh man, Bun says people usually say it like Whedon. Yeah.
Fair.
I generally hear that, so I'm rolling with Whedon. Okay, so
yeah.
Well, Ray, you said you didn't have any questions, so you just wanted to be part of the chat, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
For sure.
Crystal, any predictions or guesses for plots in season 5 of Buffy or season 2 of Angel?
I'm curious about that too.
Yeah, realistically, not so much.
Really?
No, not heavily. I mean, I can say I would think that Oz will be back in some capacity. Maybe not as a series, as a main cast member, but at least as a regular recurring character or something like that.
Sure.
And then I assume we're going to get more Spike development. I don't know if he'll ever really be a main part of the team exactly.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we had more involvement from Spike, ultimately being not necessarily a good guy, but not exactly a bad guy either.
Sure.
Because they kind of need to do that for the show. He's a bit of a fan favorite character from what I can tell or recall. And if he doesn't become somewhat more of a good guy, it's kind of hard to keep having him be part of the team.
Sure.
But also he's already had a certain amount of that development through season 4. Not all of it, but some.
He also kind of started in a different place. It's something we can talk about later on, not just yet, but he started in a different place to Angel, even as a human, which we will get into.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
even
wouldn't
from what you know,
from
his motivation, what was Spike's motivation all of this time through all of these seasons, always.
It's very self-centered, I'll be honest. Not in a bad way.
No, that's fair, but that's not the motivation itself.
No, but
it's self-centered for Angel as well, but what it is.
I know.
Yeah.
I was getting to that.
Yeah, go on.
And it's like I said, it's a very self-centered type of thing, but he seems to very much be wanting to prove himself to, I don't know, sort of earn a certain amount of respect. He wants to, I think he's one of those people who sees fear as respect, so he goes for that. But ultimately, he just wants people to treat him well.
Well, that's very interesting because that's not at all what I was gonna say, but that is so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Yeah.
see it though, right?
Huh? No, I could definitely see that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, what I was thinking is how through all of this time he's always guided by love. Even if
Yeah.
it's like misguided and can be weird, but that is what he's guided
I can't
by.
say I've seen that in the last season, but sure.
It can be love for himself.
Oh
It
yeah.
was a little bit like Harmony wasn't really
I
there for
don't.
him as a
See. Yeah,
person.
I have some trouble with that because I don't think Spike really loves himself. Not enough. Not right now.
Well, not in the way that you or I would think about.
In what way? You mean in the in the insecure
Oh
way?
yeah, of course.
Well, that's not really love. But okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So we're up to Crystal for you. So.
Definitely had something on my mind. Oh my god, no, before we move on, I feel like there's something big that you're just not thinking about like how you're feeling about these seasons. Faith. Like you wanted her to start
Okay, I
having
suppose
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. And
interesting.
so like throughout the first 3 seasons, and then
Yeah, I wanted to see that
yeah.
growth and
And it's like
development
finally starting to
of her
happen.
character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the bigger question I think with Faith is are they going to continue that character growth and development? Are they going to continue her character at all? She's in prison now, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I do think it was a good story to have her struggle so much, to have her fall from the path so, you know, so strongly.
Yeah.
It was, I think, a very bold, creative decision to go that direction. I'm assuming with the intent of sort of having her figure it out and come around over time. Because realistically, I think there's a lot of nuance there. And like I remember when she was first coming up in Buffy, a certain amount of people referring to Faith as evil. And that's just not a word I would use. I mean, you could say wrong or misguided or, um, you know, acting out or, yeah, like definitely doing wrong things, but doing wrong things and being an evil person aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how much you think that she may deserve forgiveness or redemption, I think, is up to the individual person, and that's an interesting discussion to have. But I think that's kind of the point of a Faith character,
For sure.
is to have those discussions about how much you can not just get away with, but come back from. And for a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is she's done too much to come back from. I sort of half agree with that. I don't know if she can really come back in the sense of being fully trusted or whatever by at least the people that we know in the show.
Sure.
But I would like to see that consistent attempts at redemption from her. Like if she's going to spend the rest of the series continuing to try to make amends, even if she's never really capable of actually achieving that,
Sure.
I think that would be important.
Yeah.
Because it does, I think it's important to show that no matter, well, not no matter what you've done, because that's, you know what I mean?
Obviously, with exceptions
With a
to
certain amount
that,
of
but
exceptions,
yes,
yeah.
when you realize, like she realized,
Well, once she's realized like how wrong she's been, she decides to try to be better. And again, whether or not she can achieve that, I think is going to be up to the individual person, whether they think that she can or can't be better or get that redemption. But she should and can at least try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is important. She has done a lot of shit. And but just the fact that she realized that she was wrong and she wants to do better and
That's
just
what
seeing
matters.
her. Yeah, and like us seeing her continually trying to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
I think they do a good job of showing that Faith is not evil. She's
Mhm.
not, the traditional psychopath or sociopath or any of those other things.
Yeah.
She's wildly misguided.
Yeah.
She's heavily traumatized, and whether or not you want to feel empathy for that is,
Sure.
I guess, again, up to the
Yeah.
individual. But she's definitely, like, she could have easily not gone down that dark path with the right guidance.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, having the right guidance can be very, very difficult. I don't really blame anyone for not knowing how to be there for her properly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's more a sad reality that these things just happen,
Mhm.
But I think it's important to show that she is more or less
Mm.
a standard neurotypical human being
Mm.
who just made a lot of really, really poor choices and thought a lot of really unfortunate things.
Mm.
Yeah,
but well, I'm glad I brought it up because I do remember that it was a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like kind of we only had her for like what 4 episodes in total, 2 in Buffy, 2 in Angel.
Yeah.
But they are very impactful overall.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of story development in those episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a very complicated, I think, and nuanced discussion around her character
For sure.
and her choices, and I can't say that there's like a direct right or wrong answer,
Yeah.
except for the idea that she's not actually evil. She's bad, maybe, but evil is not really the right word.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Which episode surprised you with this rewatch, either series? Episodes per se, I can't really say just like one episode was super surprising. It's more like how I felt about them going in and then how things turned out.
Well, that might be more or less what they mean.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's not like specific episode. There's no specific
Sure.
episodes. It's more like overall.
What
sometimes
parts
I
of
feel
story?
I feel like, oh, this is probably not going to be as good, or like some things are but then like we go into them and like, oh, okay, I'm appreciating this more, I'm open to this more. So I would say that I am just overall more open to things, and that allows me to appreciate those episodes in a different way or more.
Sure.
Like some of them.
Yeah.
I guess like one episode that comes to mind, but it's not that it surprised me. Maybe I guess surprised me, but I just like it. That episode of Angel where we have a boy who our crew thinks is possessed, and he is, but it turns out it's not the demon.
The demon isn't the problem.
The boy itself. I just like that episode, and I guess it just came to my mind. I can't really say that it surprised me at this point because I've seen these stories, and I just think it was good and interesting, and especially like thinking about somebody creating it at the time and how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting and like very well told.
Well, once again, a bold choice from the writing team.
Yes. Yeah. And yes, we don't have it. I do like that we sort of don't really have an answer because like how, especially that like I don't think we have a very definitive answer now, but especially at the time. And yeah, I do think that's very interesting, but it does tie into what you said about so many, the way things were written, the way questions were brought up. A lot of that was really, really good for the time and obviously impacted other shows. Yeah. But realistically, I can talk about these things for so long. Like I kind of have to stop myself, as with like the first question about like new insights and stuff, because they're always there, like little things here and there. Oh, I think especially in Buffy, a lot of the like foreshadowing moments for later on, I think I'm noticing a little bit more, and I know that you actually need to watch it so many times to actually do
to see the foreshadowing moments.
And fucking don't even get me started on the last episode. It's so full of stuff that we'll have to unpack it for like years to come. like after we're done,
Mhm.
fully watched both shows,
Mhm.
then we can come back and like look through those things. Cause like I've seen it many, many times. And even now when I go to that episode, wow, there's so much that I need to like think about.
Mhm.
Unless I like literally start writing things down again and again,
Mhm.
it's just like it's not there. They like put so much in there, which is so cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, this was a fun one. Runerific.
Yeah.
I was going to ask when Sam grew a beard before realizing it's Maria's hair blowing in the wind
Yeah.
on the picture that we posted there.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because after we took those pictures and I looked at the pictures and then we made that post, and I
You
did not
never
see that.
noticed,
I
yeah.
have not noticed until you brought that
Just
up
didn't,
that
yeah.
there's my hair.
It's the same
on
photo
your
that we used
chin.
for the thumbnail for this live, by the way.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Yeah.
From Maria, how difficult has it been watching the show without giving hints or spoilers for Sam? Especially when he speculates and makes predictions. You know what's interesting? I can't really say that it's been that difficult. I always look forward for him seeing these things and us like talking about it. Very much. Like I look forward to them so strongly. But when they happen, or like aside from looking forward to them, I can't really say that it's hard to not say something, maybe sometimes, but mostly it's not really, because the desire for us to experience that moment and for you to experience that moment kind of trumps like, I don't really want to share or just say something because what's the point? I want you to experience it.
Sure.
But the predictions and stuff are kind of fun because you either are like super spot on or like not at all.
Wildly far away.
Yes, yeah. And it's just always so fun to watch and think about when it's gonna happen, and then we're gonna like talk about the predictions again, like with Wesley, I guess, because you were like, oh, he could go into Angel like way fucking before we even started watching Angel.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, ha. Or like, oh, he's gonna be there for like an episode or two, and then obviously.
Well, I said at least.
Well, yes, yeah, but yeah, we get him for longer. Yeah.
Well, it just makes sense from a writing perspective.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So we have my half of Runerific's question.
Yes.
Okay, Sam, how are you liking Angel? They had a full season of it. I mean, to be fair, we've somewhat answered this already, but the answer is a lot. It's a good show. I appreciate that they didn't make it just the same show.
Oh yeah.
This is, I think, very important when it comes to doing a spin-off. You can't just do like a carbon copy or a somewhat copy paste of the original show, because it just what's the point?
Yeah.
So I think it's quite valuable that they made Angel be its own thing, focusing on like the detective / PI sort of.
I mean, kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Storytelling aspect or whatever.
Procedural as well.
Definitely a little bit more procedural. Also, I think it was a smart choice having just 3 main characters for that first season.
Yeah.
Obviously, first with Doyle and then with Wesley sort of replacing him as the third character. But I think that was a smart choice because, you get to really focus on those characters and their storylines and like have that develop.
Yeah.
Through like as you're moving forward, it gives them a bit more opportunity to write stuff for each character.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really enjoyable show, and again, it's a different show, so that's important. It is a little bit of a bummer to a degree that I think that it doesn't ultimately last as long as Buffy did, but it's also not like that crazy. It's like what is like 5 seasons versus 7. That's really not that crazy.
No.
And like most spin-offs get like a few less seasons than the show that they came from, except for Frasier.
Yeah, and it is actually a good point that you're making. Like, I think it is harder with sci-fi and supernatural to have more seasons than it is with like a sitcom.
It depends on the type of show, but yeah,
that's
for
fair.
sure. No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, like,
there's a reason a lot of
more
the like long-running shows are sitcoms.
Yeah. or just regular drama. You know,
Mhm.
oh my God, that's right.
Well, the medical and cop shows have the longest
Like realistically, Frasier is the longest running like spin-off of a sitcom.
Yeah.
But then Law and Order SVU is
the
like
longest
an
running
actual
spin-off like
yeah,
ever. Yeah.
But then
That one-
because you can
yeah.
just keep making episodes. You can't
Because
keep
there's
making
always
stories.
new stories
Yes.
in like medical and cop type shows.
Yeah. Like that's
There's like no end to that.
yes, yeah. And of course, like in sitcom as well. But there's like then we start having just like a little bit more limitations there.
Sitcoms have
Yes.
slightly more limitations because
Yes.
it depends on like the characters. You
Yeah.
kind of see that with the Goldbergs, where like because they focused on like the family and the kids growing up, there is a limitation on that.
Yes,
There's only so far you can take that.
for sure. Yeah,
you know?
And then of course with sci-fi and supernatural, you can only go so much harder on certain things. You have to kind of go harder, but then there's a limit.
Yeah, like I think it works in sci-fi and supernatural if they try to consistently do different things instead of just going bigger.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, in the non-spin-off form, that's kind of what one of the reasons Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sort of worked for a long time, is they kept doing different things. They didn't just keep trying to do bigger and better.
Yeah. Which at this point, it's learn from somebody else's not necessarily mistakes, but from what other people did. Because yes, this format of going harder, well, at that point, it wasn't like a normal thing that you need to go against.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, this is something I definitely learned watching Dragon Ball Z when I was a kid, is they kept trying to up the stakes, and that was like the only method of continuing the story. And that ran out of steam pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fair, for sure.
Okay, so we're done with our Patreon questions.
Yes.
We do have one more patron question from someone who's technically a team member. She at least does audio for our channel. She helps us with the audio for the Patreon episodes, basically just like adjusting levels so that you can hear everything.
Yeah.
And I screenshotted her question. She just messaged us on the old gram. So, yeah, exactly.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I won't be able to make it to the Q&A. I'll read it on YouTube later, though. If you could add my question to the video, yep. Restless is a piece of art for being deep yet so random at times. What?
Sam, is the name of the episode.
Okay, yeah. Sam, do you want to shoot any theories for season 5 based on the episode for the main story or just a character in particular? So this is the last episode. Yeah, sure. P.S. when Joel started speaking a different language, I thought it was gibberish. I am French. Do you guys pick up the fact that it was French right away? It's funny.
Wait, I don't remember that at all.
Giles speaking French? I swear we did. We talked about it in the episode.
Well,
did we not?
Fair enough. No, I don't remember. No, I don't remember. I'm not saying we didn't. I just don't remember.
Oh, yeah, I thought we talked about
him speaking French.
Yes.
Fair. Totally fair.
I could have sworn. Maybe we didn't.
I just literally don't remember.
Yeah, you don't remember. That's totally fair.
I don't think we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see here Elise is kind of hoping that I might get some of the foreshadowing from that last episode of Buffy. And the answer is not really. It's like the reality, I think, for that episode is they did such a good job of making it fucking weird and vague that it's really kind of hard to pick up on what they could be alluding to for the future.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because
so fun.
It's definitely one of those things that I think they did with the intention of it needing to be a rewatch later on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go back and watch the series like 2-3 times to really sort of understand certain things or pick up on certain things. And that's a good thing. Shows like this definitely should have those angles. It's something that I really enjoyed about watching Gravity Falls and like Owl House and even Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. They all had that sort of, you should probably rewatch some of this stuff so you can like pick up on some of that foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You know, second time around and stuff like that. Hey Kelly, it's nice to see you.
Hey.
And yeah, like I remember watching that episode. Obviously, it was very recently. We watched it like a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah. That episode, final episode of Buffy season 4, right?
Yeah.
And I like as we were going through it, both I think you told me like there's going to be a lot of foreshadowing, see what you can pick up, and I tried so hard
kind of be chill because it's gonna be difficult.
I tried to really, really, really pay attention and see what I could pick up on, but it was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That like not really. What's up with the cheese dude? I don't know. You know? Besides them sort of
the first Slayer, which
that one's a little less vague,
of
where
course,
it's like, okay, so we're probably gonna get some backstory on the whole Slayer lineage situation. Revisit like the first Slayer as like maybe she's a demon. At this point. You know, the first Slayer was ultimately corrupted or whatever, or maybe they just want some revenge. Who knows? See, actually, kind of seems more like the vengeance situation, but vengeance on who and for what? I don't know. You know, but beyond that, yeah, not really. You know, besides Xander being a bit of a creeper, like they really weren't like, hey guys, in case you were happy about Xander's character development up until this point, here's some weird shit. Enjoy. I'm like, oh, okay. Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
That's awkward. Don't do that, man.
I know. But it does make me think of something. Not really connected to Xander per se, but the fact that they didn't actually show us Willow and Tara kiss. Like they implied a lot. No, they like cut away from the moment of them kissing, and like we heard the sounds, but we didn't see that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess you can only do so much at the time.
Yeah, it was still like what, 2000?
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I remember I kind of have it in my head and them showing them all like being sexual, obviously, in Xander's
for sure
head. But like I don't remember like even specifically seeing them kiss. Which again makes sense for the time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I tried really hard to pick up on stuff. I wanted to like have some, impressive prediction, and I had nothing.
You know what? Just
not very impressive.
like what would you want to see this season with the characters? It doesn't have to be like
something crazy. I mean, I want to see them figuring out themselves as a group and as friends and as a team.
Yes, Just Men Bun. Here you go.
They definitely did show it. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I definitely want to see them just coming back together more strongly. And I think that was probably part of the point of season 4. They needed to have this amount of disarray and dysfunction for them to then have something to like galvanize them as a team.
Sure.
Was honestly kind of important. Like if everything's going perfectly well all the time, I think it's easy for things to get complacent and like for people to just be like, yeah, things are fine. What do we don't need to fix anything. We don't need to improve. You know what I mean? So
it's kind of almost impossible for them to just be okay all the time because they all have troubles, in their lives.
Sure. But I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if things were going perfectly all the time, then they would have nothing to really grow from.
Oh yeah, for
sure. No impetus for change. Luckily, of course, it is the kind of story would be really difficult for them to have everything going perfectly all the time.
Yeah.
As you're pointing out. But yeah, and it makes sense that like their first year of college, they're starting to somewhat go separate ways. And if it was a regular friend group that didn't have a specific mission in mind, they probably would continue to go their separate ways, and that would just be sad because that's just like how it goes for a lot of people,
Yeah.
I don't think I know anyone that I knew from college anymore.
Oh, I definitely do, but
well, that's a little bit different. Different people, but
of course
a lot of people lose touch with their like high school and college friends.
Just the real people throughout their lives. Yeah,
the only person I still know who even went to my college was Steph, but we didn't go to the college at the same time. We just went to the same college. You know what I mean?
Fair.
It was like 2 years apart.
Yeah. For sure.
Like we didn't meet until several years after we'd both left college. So that was a whole situation. It was
So basically, you're thinking of just character development individually and as a group.
Yeah.
This season.
And I mean, realistically, I think at this point in my life, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of shows. I'm way more interested in like the development of the characters. How they grow as people, how they
deal with certain situations, right?
How they deal with certain situations and how they treat each other as human beings.
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to
Yeah.
continue to like focus on actually caring about each other and developing like
Yes.
communication and stuff like that? Because I think that that's something that's really important for TV shows and really
Mhm.
valuable for TV shows is to show the development of people in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think too many modern shows are focused way too hard on trying to be realistic and relatable, and that might be that might draw in a lot of people because it gives people reasons to like I don't know find excuses for their own shitty behavior. They're like,
Mhm.
yeah, other people also act shitty, and you're like, yeah, they do. I don't know how much we really need to see, how much proof we really need that people are shitty to each other.
Totally fair. And like even how every time it's like called relatable, like that's fair. Of course, that is a realistic part of our society, and I mean global society, right?
Mm.
But like it's not 100%, you know?
Yeah, it's
And
definitely
like
not.
it's good to show
Yeah.
these things, absolutely,
Hmm.
but not as like this is the relatable and the other thing is not, you
Yeah.
know? Like, yes, of course this is, but then we need both. We need things to strive for as much as we need to acknowledge the flaws and troubles that we have.
Yeah, I think there's a middle ground.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
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 You need to find that middle ground of things that are somewhat relatable and realistic, but also finds those things that, yeah, like you say, are things to look up to, things to
Yeah.
be inspired by, things to be motivated by.
Mhm.
Where you can look at characters and their actions and be like, you know what, yeah, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
I also want to be a better person. I also want to be more honest and more direct and more caring and all
Yeah.
these things.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely think that's valuable. I mean, I've said multiple times that I based a lot of my personality on the character traits of the team from Stargate SG-1.
Ah, that's so fun. That now I get it.
Yeah, now that you're watching this show, you understand it, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And you can see how it's also just not just one character.
Oh no, no,
I
no.
picked like and chose like little elements of each of the main probably 5 cast members because there's the 4-person team, but then there's also Hammond.
Well, Hammond is even more so. I'd say like Hammond and Tilk I see a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've said multiple times, I think, that when I was, going from teenager to young adult or whatever, just adult in the world, I really, really thought that a lot of like professionals and like people in leadership positions were gonna be like General Hammond from Stargate SG-1, and they never were, and I was super disappointed.
Oh.
I was like, "What do you mean you're not respectable? I thought I could follow you. This is bullshit."
But yeah, like that's obviously a big part of why like Buffy and Angel, well, but Buffy primarily is such a good show because we do have that.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
like
Giles is a great mentor and
exactly
family member.
like of course he also like he's not
He has his
perfect.
own like
Yes.
struggles, sure.
Yeah.
But he cares. He wants to teach. He wants to
Yeah.
teach in a good way too. It's
Yes.
not just like do the fucking thing I say. It's
Yeah.
like, well, but like what could actually positively impact the lives of these people?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, like we have kids here, like starting the show.
Mm,
So we have more of the progress, more of the
yeah.
growing.
'Cause
And
they
yes,
start
it's
as
not going to be
teenagers
just like we're getting better all the time. No,
Mm.
there's going to be a lot of moments when things are not going well. And we've seen that happen, like
Yeah.
we had progress from like season 1 to season 2, but then in season 3 kind of fall off a little bit,
Yeah.
So we go a little bit back and forth, but because they're kids, we have more opportunity for like learning and growing.
See them grow.
Yeah, as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're not fully formed human beings at any point, like at this point.
Totally.
Not at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But like when we start the show, especially. So yeah.
Indeed.
I definitely see like even in these shows similarities.
Mm.
Mostly probably because around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
people grew up on similar things,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely good to see.
Very much.
But yeah, very curious to get to season 5.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Something I'm also curious about, and this is definitely looking ahead to the future,
Mhm.
now that we've had a certain amount of the discussions around the seasons that we've already been in,
Yeah.
is how many of you guys are excited to see this revival of the Buffy series. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
The new ones, specifically the ones that are just talking about now.
They're just talking about it now.
And obviously, like, don't say too much.
Obviously, let's not get into spoiler territory.
Yeah. But just from the perspective, we obviously can say certain things, like Sarah Michelle Gellar maybe being like a mentor figure in this show, because that's at least
that makes
from
sense.
what I've heard.
That makes perfect sense.
But like she wouldn't be the main character or anything.
But like Sarah Michelle, you know, for years was like, no, we're not doing revivals.
Everything
remakes,
was good.
Reboots.
Gotta
leave it as it
there.
was, you know. But then, you know, apparently she had several hour discussions with Chloe Zhao about like what could actually happen for a future revival, and she finally sort of thought, hey, that's actually pretty cool. You know what I mean? So I am sort of excited that they're doing this at this exact time, because it lines up almost perfectly with our current Buffy rewatch timeline, where by the time we're sort of finished watching Buffy and Angel right now, the revival series should be like starting to air around that time
after we're finishing, or like around the time we're finishing,
which is really cool. Like I hope that we can get to also reacting to new Buffy, if that's the case, and that it will be good, and that you guys will be excited to watch that with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely curious. As well. I'm glad you brought that up, because like I wasn't even thinking about it. But yeah, definitely curious about that, because like for years it was just like different things, different ideas of how to bring it back,
and a lot of it just didn't make sense, so they didn't want to do it.
For sure. Fair. And like, of course, there's so many shows that didn't do a good job, but there are some that did. So it does depend on how you approach this, and like how much time and care you take with this. So obviously there is an opportunity here.
I mean, obviously when it comes to revivals, reboots, remakes, it really depends on how you do it.
For sure.
You know.
Well, and why
you're doing it. Like one of the remakes that we watched, the Roswell remake, that was really good.
That was so good.
That was
and
really
good. So timely. I think the ideas were even better implemented. Well,
you know what? I think we have to go back and rewatch the original Roswell to make the assessment.
I've only seen so much of the original Roswell.
Because I watched probably like 2/3 of original Roswell when it was on TV, and I haven't seen it since. I've been meaning to go back and rewatch Roswell.
Definitely.
I thought that show was so cool. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Even like having those ideas and like implementing them the way they did at the time was also really cool.
But at the same time, now seeing as it's been like 20 fucking years since I actually saw the original Roswell, I can't say
20, probably more than that.
No, about 20. I was watching it when I was like mid-teens, and I'm mid-30s now, so
37. That's technically late 30s.
It's the start of late 30s.
Yes. But obviously there are. You made a good point. There obviously are good examples of revivals, I guess, because they can be very different. Like we don't just having. What is it? Updating the show, as in like making the very same show, but now I can't really.
I don't feel strongly about.
And it depends, because Roswell is kind of that thing.
Well, Roswell totally did do that. That's a fair point.
But they adjusted some things about it.
They how you adapt something for the modern
it can
world
still
makes
work
a big
out.
difference.
Because we have these good examples now. We know that it can work.
Like if there were ever, like, unfortunately, because Animorphs barely functioned as a TV show to begin with, like doing a revival doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But
it's more like just adapting it again.
Yes, it's just doing a new adaptation of Animorphs. But if that's one of those things that like should be set in the 90s, it doesn't really make sense to do it in any other time period. It's a lot. I think it's a lot like X-Files, where it's like how society viewed certain things has a big impact on how the show actually functions.
For sure.
And X-Files, I don't think functions quite the same way in the modern day as it did in the 90s. In terms of like the tone and vibe and writing of the show.
As much as like I still very much enjoyed the new seasons, it is different. And like making just having like a couple more seasons to what already exists, I think was fine.
Mhm.
It's if they wanted to just like restart the show and make it again now, I do not think that would work.
It's
That's
how
like,
would you
because
do
that's
that?
what you're saying.
It's an
Just
entirely different
like
thing.
having a
Yeah.
continuation. I know it's a contentious
Yeah. Yeah.
is the right word.
Yes.
Thing amongst X-Files fans, but there are many things that are contentious amongst X-Files fans.
I almost
right?
feel like if you were doing a new X-Files show, you'd have to actually set it as a prequel. Yeah, and like that almost doesn't function. You can't do like can't do Mulder and Scully. It would have to just be like a similar idea, but just set like 10 years earlier or something.
Yeah, kind of hard to imagine that like working out as well, though.
Super hard to imagine.
Yeah. So there are obviously some things that are just like really hard to think how they would work, but there are some that definitely would, and I believe that it's possible to make this happen. To be fair, somebody did bring up an interesting question in one of the articles. What would that look like? Because there's extensive
with Modern Buffy.
With Modern Buffy, there's an extensive collection of comics, the continuation of the show. So would they try to adapt one of that or some of that, or would they fully come up with a new story? Like that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one. Obviously, because I haven't finished the show, I can't say.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll come back to that.
We will come back to that
later, because right now we're just up to season 5 and season 2 of Angel, which is like even harder to predict. Oh my god! Aside from the fucking Darla showing up at the end, this is a big fucking deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they're going to be playing more on Angel's personal life,
because they tried to do other things and they couldn't just kill him. They couldn't.
They're going to try to break him mentally. So
I guess there's that a little bit of case of that.
Yeah, the bigger question is how are they going to expand the team outside of just making Gunn more a part of the team, which makes obvious sense.
Yeah.
But then also, like, will Wesley continue to be a part of the show long term?
Sure.
Because I want him to be, but I also kind of feel like he'll either die or leave at some point. Probably leave, realistically.
Sure.
Considering Doyle died already, as the big savior.
You think they wouldn't just like
doing it twice would be weird?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's a possibility. Yeah.
But now we're going to get back to the chat because we have just been sort of chatting about our thoughts on Buffy for a while. Yeah. See what you guys have to say about certain things. So.
Yes. Yeah. Where are you?
So, well, we kind of skipped a couple of things here. So, Ray was saying it's always hilarious listening to predictions and knowing what's going to happen.
Yes, that's so much fun, right? So that's like it's not really difficult to like shut up. It's just interesting to
I mean, I like that from the opposite side of that.
Like
when we're watching something, like Stargate or whatever.
For sure. And it's always, what you brought up a good point about the characters. Yeah, it's in a lot of cases it is about the characters, especially after the extensive time of us just watching shows and movies and reading stories and everything. It's like the story is interesting and it's important, right? But how people handle things.
Yeah, that's what's really
So just most, whenever I guess something that's happening, it's like it's not really as interesting, I would think, for you as in like why, like motivations of the characters and how they handle things, right?
Yeah. Nessa Reyes says, "Can't wait to see you judge the outfits in the show like I also do."
Yay!
That's fun. I wouldn't say we've been as hard on that lately.
Had less of that.
Well, part of the problem here is that like a lot of the outfits, I think, of the last season or so on Buffy in particular, there's a lot of like retreads. There's multiple times where they wore outfits they'd already worn. There's nothing to say there. Not necessarily in a bad or a good way. Willow wore the same jacket like 6 times. It wasn't a bad jacket. I liked it, but we already commented on it.
Kind of hard for me to say why. I did think about it, by the way, that we commented less on the outfits this season, and I can't actually come up with a good reason for it, because realistically, I feel like we talked so much about it earlier, and I liked the fashion of the second season probably the best. Then the first and the third are kind of, like some of that I actually also really like. But the fourth, I almost
I think there's a
like
lot more
almost
meh
nothing.
in
Yeah,
season 4
yeah, and
in
meh
terms
as
of the
well.
outfits.
Yeah.
It's just not a good time period for fashion, so that's
At
unfortunate.
least in our opinions.
No, I think I commented the most on Xander and Anya's looks in season
And
4.
even then, not that much.
No, more in the negative sense, because there was a few times where Xander and Anya, both either together or separately, wore some not great stuff.
I think Xander actually wore more good stuff this season.
He wore some good stuff, but he also wore some horrible
seasons.
stuff. I can't get his sweater vest out of my mind.
Yeah, that's fair. He did have a couple of
Some
those.
real bad sweater vests.
Yeah. But yeah, Willow actually, I think, dressed pretty well this season.
Yeah, see, I didn't like that type of fashion that much. There were a few things I commented positively on.
Yeah, okay. No, I definitely disagree with that. Buffy was kind of worse this season. But primarily what I don't like that they do for Buffy is that it's not fitting, but it's also not loose. It's somewhere in between. And
yeah, that was that time.
Yes, and I just don't. I obviously I just don't like that.
Yeah.
And if they did it for her to like fight comfortably, that would be fair. But they have so much stuff, so many things that aren't actually comfortable to fight in, so you don't have that reasoning for it. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a little bit more. And I think we will have a little bit more in this season.
I wouldn't be surprised if moving forward we'll have some more things to talk about, because like the changing of the decade used to be like a big deal. That like a couple of years, but where the decade was transitioning from one to the next. Actually, like there was a lot of there's this like say like with the 80s, like mid to late 80s, quite distinct. Mid to late 90s, quite distinct. That couple of years in between the late 80s and the early 90s. There's more like it's kind of just a continuation of the late 80s with a transition into the 90s.
That's fair.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's not.
Oh no, that's fair. But that that part I actually like really like. That's like one of the better parts in my opinion.
Well, I think it's because the by the time we got to like say 91, 92, they transitioned out of the shittier things from the late 80s and just kept the good stuff.
That's true. I think I always think that the late 90s. I like the fashion of the late 90s, but I think I like a very specific fashion of late 90s. Like the one that we had in Charmed with more like kind of professional, but also a little like evening wardrobe, I think is better. But just kind of regular was not as good.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Because I can't really say that this 99 to 2000 in season 4 was good.
Yeah.
in Buffy. Specifically, can't really say that. But there are a lot of, I think, like ups and downs, obviously, in my personal opinion. Yeah.
I mean, that's how fashion is. There's always going to be ups and downs.
Well, that's fair, but some people are like, yeah, this one thing is like super good, and I'm like, no, I like some things from it and some things from the other thing. I can't really say that this or this is like super bad. Even this early 2000s that I don't like, there are some things that I do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot of things I don't like, but you're right. Every now and then I'm like, oh, no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you like low-rise jeans, and that's the time.
Who?
Low-rise jeans.
Low-rise. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, again, I think we've discussed this. This is because that fits my body a lot better than...
Well, that's fair.
But I guess the reality is I like low-rise jeans on women as much as... I do not really like high-rise. I never have.
Obviously, that's too bad because low-rise does not work for me.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's unfortunate.
Coming back. Yeah.
Faith was acting a fool.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything you're really excited for the next seasons or excited for Sam to get to see that you can mention without spoiling it? Well, I guess what it can mention without spoiling is character development.
How do the characters grow? I mean,
yeah. And like, well, grow or the opposite.
Grow or
just gonna be progression.
De-grow.
Yeah, progression, regression.
Devolve.
Yes. Yeah. At certain moments here and there, I would say that because I can't really say without spoilers like other things. Yeah, like character development, and then characters and actors showing. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Characters and actors showing up.
I know there's at least one new character who's going to be introduced sometime in the next couple of next season or two.
Where, in Buffy or Angel?
In Buffy. In Angel, I think there's going to be like 2 or 3.
Sure.
New characters, like primary characters
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully know the details of who they are and what their relationships are to the show, but I remember seeing promo
Just
photos.
the promo, that you've seen fucking as a kid.
Exactly.
That even I didn't see.
I saw a lot of ads on TV, and they're like, "This character does this," and you're like, "Okay, whatever, man." And then later on, you're coming back to the show, and you're like, "Hey, I seem to remember them talking about some other person who I haven't seen yet."
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No, it makes sense, of course, and because there's so much like crossover, in terms of actors, in like not in between, but like in different shows, popping up here and there.
I would like to see a little bit more crossover between the shows, but I kind of understand that it's not super easy to get like multiple characters across multiple shows.
Yeah. So. But I would say character development, how characters progress or regress in certain moments.
Yes.
And I know we're like so far away from the end of the show, but of course I'm looking forward to you seeing the end of the show.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's 3 more seasons of Buffy, so.
Yes, yeah. But like, season 5, there's gonna be, honestly, like there's so many things that I look forward in season 5 to seeing. That I can't
I've heard some people say that season 5 is like their favorite. So
yeah. I mean, and then I can't really say some things about the next seasons at all.
Yeah.
You might get what I'm saying there, but there are some things are just hard to get through. That's fair. Some things are like, oh, I really want to watch that moment again and again. So, but we'll get there. Right now we're talking about season 5. Yes. Yep. I'm just sticking to character development and really like fun moments that we have. We have some fun moments in season 5.
That's good.
And also really like heartwarming and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're up to Kelly, who doesn't have any questions, just saying she's here, which we did acknowledge earlier. But once again, hey Kelly.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Just remember, you should have to go back and watch it later in your. Well, I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And shows like good shows like this, I'll watch at least 2 or 3 times. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I watched like 3 times. Yeah. We're on our first watch of Killjoys for her, but second watch of Killjoys for me. I rewatched Dark Matter several times.
Yeah.
Stargate SG-1 I've seen like 5 times, like the whole show.
We rewatch
Atlantis, same thing.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like there actually isn't a show or a movie that I wouldn't rewatch if I like it.
Yeah. Like the only thing that I haven't actually rewatched multiple times that I did like is Supernatural. I've only seen it once, and I've only seen it up to season 9.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Like I've already forgotten like a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I guess the reason, or not the reason, but like I guess the only reason we or I wouldn't rewatch something is just because I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there are things that I just want to rewatch.
Well, realistically, I want to rewatch Supernatural, but I kind of feel weird about rewatching Supernatural when I have never finished it in the first place.
I know, but it's like, how do you just go back to it?
It's tough. I know.
Where you were.
I stopped watching somewhere halfway through season 9. And the hilarious thing is going through the show, because I originally watched Supernatural with my sister, right? And she was like a big fan. And she kept telling me like somewhere halfway through season 9, she dipped out. And I was like, there's no way. I finish everything. And she's like, no, seriously. There's an episode where Dean becomes like a dog. And like that was so stupid. And she was like, yeah, that's when I stopped watching. And I was like, no way, I'll keep watching it.
Wow.
That's literally the same moment. I got to that episode and I was like, nah, okay. And it wasn't like a hard I'm out. It was more just like I don't really feel like watching Supernatural this week. And then that 1 week became 2 weeks and then 3 weeks. And then sooner or later, I just wasn't watching Supernatural anymore. I was like, I guess I did dip out at the same time my sister did.
Yeah, I guess you did.
Yeah.
I can't even say, like, I know that I actually stopped watching it at some point. I just went back. And I feel like I missed like a season or so, because I did come back and like maybe in the middle of season 14, but I did watch some episodes of season 13. But it's kind of hard to remember now because it's been so long, and I think I missed some things, but I just like kept coming back and like revisiting certain things,
I hear there's a possibility they did something on Supernatural that I fully said they were going to do, and I just never got to see them do. And that was introduce who God was.
Oh, sure.
Because I remember watching through season, whatever, it's like 4 or 5 or something like that. Supernatural, I'd be like, that's God. That one
Really?
dude, he's God.
I don't remember us ever talking about this.
Oh, I guess
This
never
is
brought it up.
Yeah, this is fun.
But there's that one guy. He's the fucking writer, right?
Yes.
Oh, you know what?
Also-
I might be spoiling things. Erase that. There's one character through Supernatural. I was like, yeah, sooner or later they're gonna come back and be like, he's God. And apparently they did that.
Fair. Yeah,
so.
yeah. But also, we saw that actor in Buffy recently.
Yeah, what's his name?
Something.
I know. He reminds me of David Krumholtz, but he's not David Krumholtz.
No, he's something Rob Benedict something.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what? I don't want to like mess it up right now. And I followed all of these actors at one point, but I just follow so many things and like it's not in my head. But I remember the character that
Yeah,
he
you know
played.
who you're talking about. Yeah.
No, not who you were talking about.
Oh,
who I'm talking about in Buffy.
Oh, the character you played in Buffy.
Yeah. So, like Adam's lackey in a library.
Oh my God! Yeah, he was one of the vampires as well.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You got it.
Indeed. For things to go perfectly on the Hellmouth. It's true. That does make sense. Yeah.
Even though we did get a little bit of that in season 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Holding reservations to see what actually happens. Legacy sequel stuff doesn't have a good track record, but Sarah says she wouldn't do it if it wasn't right, so we'll see.
Totally.
That's our thoughts.
Yeah,
basically.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely giving it a chance because it can be good. They can come up with good stories and stuff.
Well, again, the fact that Sarah held off for so long because she didn't want to see it be like have the legacy of the show tarnished, and now she's feeling like it could actually be the right story to tell.
Yes.
I think that's what matters.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
We're up to Rebecca.
Yes, I need to start watching before the new stuff drops.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I get the impression Rebecca's joined us just to be here and say hi, which is nice.
To hang out.
Hey, Rebecca. Good to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rebecca, you never watched any of the Buffy stuff with or without us? I think we've had this conversation before.
Mm-hmm.
But she might be asleep now because it's late for her and she's literally falling asleep in the chat. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I quite liked the Gilmore Girls revival, but it was so weird seeing them so much older. Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess like I feel less weird about these things now.
Tough one.
Yeah.
The Gilmore, there was a few of those kind of shows from that time period that I was thinking of doing reactions for either by myself or with you.
Mm-hmm.
Which I still don't really have the room to actually fit into the schedule right now, especially like because like we're doing like we tried to add some new shows in the schedule along with Buffy and Angel, and it did not go well. It was bad. We couldn't stay consistent with it.
Yeah, we messed things for ourselves.
It made things way harder, and like not that many people even like were like that keen on it. And maybe it could have been if we were consistent, but we couldn't stay consistent. So it was just like, and ultimately it was just like bad all around.
Yeah.
I liked doing those shows though, because we did Agatha and Arcane, and they were both fun.
Has been
Hotel.
Yeah.
That actually worked out a little bit easier because it was a shorter show.
Yeah, for sure.
But nonetheless.
Yeah. Of course we would like to.
You definitely want to add more stuff. It's just really difficult to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. Rebecca, I just have you guys talking as I've fallen asleep. Yeah.
Totally.
Just been about the same bit as morning for me though. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Morning for us too.
Yep. He says, "I get you, lol."
Amanda, hi.
In reference to which? The legacy stuff?
I don't know. Yeah. Who exactly?
Oh, what we're excited for.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, still awake.
Rebecca's still here.
I started last year and then completely forgot to keep going. It's a show I've always wanted to watch, but it was never on TV here. But I have.
My sister's boyfriend is Disney Plus. Perfect.
Right. Fair.
Yeah. Amanda, by the way, I don't know if you're seeing this right now because you said you're working right now, just popping in. Fair enough. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I remember the last time, not the last time, but one of the recent times we heard from you, you said you had a lot going on. So I hope that's better.
Gotten a bit easier, maybe?
Slightly less busy, slightly more relaxed, slightly less stressful. I think it's that time for all of us, right? The world has gotten a much more busy and complicated
Everything is happening so fast. We're moving on from things so fast.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of stressed and confused and like just overwhelmed, and it's really disappointing that like that's like a normal part of society now.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But we're gonna slow down at some point because that's just how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so we're Rebecca, obviously. Yeah. Do get back to watching Buffy and Angel.
Absolutely.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
So I just have 50 things on my to watch list, and every time I go to watch something, I get overwhelmed and choose something I've seen loads, like Doctor Who. I get you. That happens. Yeah. I had that recently where like we wanted to find something new or like watch something new, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, we're watching Killjoys. It's new for her,
At
so
least
that worked.
we have like that part where one of us will be rewatching something, but then another one
will be new for one.
Yes.
The other. Yeah. Not a ton of things that we're watching
Both.
first time together.
Unless it's a very new thing, like From.
From Yellow Jackets, Peacemaker, whenever the fuck that comes out. It's been several freaking years since the first season. By the way, if you guys haven't seen Peacemaker season 1, that's probably like at this point my favorite comic book adaptation of a show basically ever. And I think one of the reasons it works so well is because Peacemaker and the comic books had so little actual stories and representation.
They could write whatever they wanted.
They had a bit of room to move. Same thing with like the vigilante character in the Peacemaker show.
What a fun character.
Once again, there was not a lot of comic book stuff to work with, some for sure, but like they had room to play with both those characters. You're
really making me want to watch it again.
It's so good.
We've watched it fucking 4 times already.
Yeah, we've like Peacemaker is
so crazy.
Our most rewatched modern show.
Yeah, in these last, because it came out in 21, right?
Yeah.
So in these, not even
watched it like once a year since it came out.
Yeah. The first time.
I fucking love Peacemaker so much. I love the intro for the show.
Oh my god.
The song and dance they do is so fucking good.
So fun.
Hang on, Rebecca's actually gonna try to sleep.
Okay.
But short hike tomorrow. Fair enough.
Aww.
Hope you're both well.
Yeah.
We're doing okay. Relatively speaking. Ups and downs.
Yeah. Obviously things are not good overall in the world and here, but we try, the only thing we can do is just keep trying and keep seeing, our best. Like, and appreciating moments that we enjoy.
Yeah. Like, honestly, we've had some, like, health things that have, like, made things difficult for both of us over the last, like, 6 months or so, which is very disappointing. Yeah. Probably even see, like, I gained a bunch of weight. We both did, but it's a little bit more obvious on me, I think.
Yeah. So that's... Because you got more as well.
I had more to begin with.
It's true. You got more. Like, I only gained a little bit. Yeah, you
could probably gain, like, a few kilos. I gained, like, over 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technically the heaviest I've been.
And that's another thing, foot here.
Technically, though, because like I'm not the fattest I've ever been. Like the fact that I have more muscle right now definitely makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But
you worked on it.
Yeah. Pros and cons. But yeah, I haven't been sleeping well either. So that's definitely gotten in the way of like doing things. It's just not useful.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Overall, yes, we're doing our best. And I think, once we can get enough of our shit together that we can get the hell out of Australia and just like be in Europe for a little while, it's going to be a little bit easier just like in terms of like she'll be closer to her family and the overall infrastructure will make a lot more sense to her.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the weather is also a big deal. Like the humidity and heat in Australia is so uncomfortable. Like I've gotten fucking sick of it and I've been here for my whole life.
And like, of course it's gotten worse, but there's just a lot of those things that kind of make it really difficult to just live your life.
Yeah, in Australia. There's a lot of positives to like Eastern Europe that make sense for us as people.
For sure. Yeah.
Where are we? It's been a couple awful months. I look forward to episodes every week. It makes a big difference. Thank you. Well, thank you for continuing to be with us. I'm so glad that you're continuing to enjoy what we're doing. It makes a big deal. It makes a big difference to us that there are those of you who enjoy what we do enough that like you want to stick with it on a consistent basis. Especially over the last like year and a half, where we definitely made some not amazing choices in terms of being YouTubers and being content creators. More me. I definitely blame myself for a certain amount of those choices more than anything else. So it's really nice to have a certain amount of people stick with us.
Yeah, I know. You like, I think you beat yourself up a little too much because as much as a lot of it, of course, is on us, absolutely. But so many things happen that were absolutely outside of our control, and we do our best to deal with
I don't
that.
blame myself for some
Yeah.
things.
For some things, yes.
Well, you know, like it's not my fault that Steph left.
Or all these
Well,
things on
they
YouTube, or
got
the
really tired of
new
how YouTube was functioning and
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
like
just live a normal life.
demonetization
It's not my
policy,
fault.
the copyright. There's so many things that
Oh,
impacted how
copyright has been
things are
such a
doing.
fucking
And like
pain for the last year for
I
us. Oh my
don't
god.
want to bring it up so we can like talk about it for long,
Oh.
but yes, it's both things. But coming back to the message though, thank you so much. And
Yes.
it's really good to hear. And it is similar to us. Like we look forward to doing these things.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, realistically, we've both always been big TV and movie type of people. Like
And especially the ones who want to talk about shit.
Yeah, like this is the thing that we get to that like helps us, you know, with our regular life and being able to talk about these storylines and these characters both with each other and other people is that's like one of the main things we enjoy. I think storytelling is for both of us like one of the things that brings us together. It's, you know, and TV and movies is kind of the middle ground of that. You know, she has a certain amount more of the literary area of storytelling and characters and all that kind of stuff. And for me, music is a really big deal, as you guys know. You know, songwriting and performance is something that's really important to me. It's actually really disappointing that live music performance has been eroded so heavily over the last like 20-30 years. It's actually like really difficult to get out and actually like perform at a live bar, but I hope to have the opportunities to do that some more in the future because I really love getting on stage and being able to interact with the crowd. So yeah, I mean, YouTube was kind of like the, I don't know, confluence of all our influences. Is that the right word?
I think so. But yeah, well, like
it's where all of our interests kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah. Like we obviously both like watching movies and shows and discussing them, but then your background in music and mine in like literature and translation, they kind of
well, this is where they meet in the middle.
They meet and also, what is this word, like support the main thing? Yeah, I suppose that's a good way to put it. Kind of, for sure. But yeah, it's really nice to hear that. And just from the perspective of somebody enjoying our work, but also from the perspective of sharing this. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
That was like one of the main things I wanted to do when I started doing YouTube in the first place was be able to build that community of people who want to share story, thoughts, and ideas, and just like discuss characters and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. For sure. That was Rebecca going to sleep, sending support. Love you, Rebecca. Thank you. Yeah. Jade says, "Hey, you're still going when I eventually wake up." You just getting up now, Crystal?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Crystal's in Australia. So.
No. Yeah, I know. I was like, when did you go to bed and now wake up? It's only been like a couple hours. But yeah, you just overall wake up. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, just regular wake.
I remember being the kind of night owl who'd get up at like 10 or 11. So.
Oh, I know. I
physically can't do it anymore, but I used to get up like 10 or 11 or even like later. Just consistently.
I know, and it's been a while now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, these days
but it's so nice I get up waking up in the morning.
7-8 on average.
Yeah, even earlier. It's obviously all about having a good sleep.
Sometimes I get up at like 5 or 6, but that's not a story.
But yeah, like if you had a good sleep, waking up early in the morning feels really good. Actually.
Yeah. That's true.
Hey.
Yeah. Where are we? Josh Man Bun. If you were to have a performance, would you announce it anywhere?
Oh yeah, of course.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not announce it?
Well, it depends on what that is. Because think about it like this.
Okay.
If I was actually organizing a show, then yeah, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the chances of me being able to actually put together a band, because realistically I'd have to hire them and pay them.
Sure.
And I don't have any fucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like actually do like a whole show. There's so many logistics. I'm like, I don't know how I'd be able to make that function. So realistically, there's solid chance of if I'm going to be performing in any capacity in terms of music, I'd probably be doing like fucking open mic nights, you know, like solo, just me, and I don't even play acoustic guitar. I'd have to get an acoustic guitar just to fucking play these kinds of things.
Yeah,
Coffee
but
shop
it's not
style.
really your stuff though. Yeah.
No, it's not. That's not my style. I'm not an acoustic guy, but at the same time, trying to put together like a band.
I'm just realizing that we're on top chat. That is, how did that happen?
I thought but to be fair, I was going through it on my phone.
That's fair, and it has live.
And I had,
okay.
that's on live chat. Yeah, so it's one of those things. I would love to be able to actually organize a show and hire the necessary musicians and do it all properly, because realistically, the way I do music requires other musicians and it requires like the organization of things. But that's really fucking difficult to do these days. It was difficult when I was doing it 10 years ago. I mean, it's like I realized at the time that, let's say you do 5 shows a week. Each show you get paid $200 between 5 people, right? So that's $1,000 between 5 people every week. That's $200 a week for a whole band. Well, for $200 a week for each person. And that's not including things like travel costs and food and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It literally just doesn't function. And that's if you're doing 5 shows a week. So yeah, at this point in time, I really don't know how I would make any of this work. I think that's one of the most disappointing things is like just trying to figure out how to do live performance in any way. You know, like it'd have to be like a passion project type of thing that I'm putting my own money in. You know what I mean? Honestly, you're lucky to get $200. I know.
Well, yeah, but that's
true.
like
that's kind of
the sad
thing.
You will get $200, but then you won't, because you will have ended up spending.
Yes, but that's not what they're saying.
Oh.
He's talking about the fact that like plenty of bands will get paid like less than that or not get paid at all.
Yes, so basically, you mean just being in the minus.
Yeah, like we've literally had shows offered to us where they're like, you don't earn any money. You have to sell at least this many tickets, and then anything on top of that, you can get a percentage of the ticket sales. And you're like, wait, hang on. So first of all, the venue's not going to promote at all, and then you want us to pay a certain amount to play there. Say if we can't get like 50 people to buy tickets ahead of time, then we have to pay for the remainder of the tickets that don't sell.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I mean, if you're already like a relatively known or successful act, that can work to a degree. But when you're on the come up, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Promotion. Yeah. Definitely needs to be there.
And we had other shows where they're like, yeah, we give you 2 jugs of beer to play the show. Like that's it. There's no money. You don't get paid anything. You just get 2 jugs of beer. And you're like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. You know, and we definitely played some of those shows where we got paid literally nothing. You're just doing it for the love. But yeah, I think a lot of the laws around bars and pubs have really, really screwed things in Australia. It's made it really, really, really difficult for artists to even make it function on a personal level. You know, there's a lot of musicians these days who the only way they're making it work is because they already have money.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
Like they have like a relatively wealthy family and they just have time to do it because their parents are paying their rent.
Sure.
You know, one of my buddies who is a professional musician at this point in time, the only reason they were able to do it all is because their parents paid their rent for the first like 2-3 years until they were able to save up enough money that they could then consistently make enough money from the gigs that they would been playing for the 2 years that got them to that point.
Sure.
You know, I love my bro, but he does not know how privileged he is. You know, so
yeah.
Sometimes they make you their sound tech. It's true. Yeah, we had shows where we literally teched our own shows. We've had we played one show in Queensland where they did absolutely nothing. Like the venue did literally nothing. They didn't even set up the stage. They were like, yeah, you got to move all this stuff to make the stage. Like we had to move the stage into place, set up all the equipment, do the sound tech stuff ourselves. Like luckily at the time, Charles and Mark had decent ideas of how to mix and master like a live show. I didn't know anything about mixing and mastering until like the last like 3-4 years. I've been learning it over the last 3-4 years. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was a lot. We had to hire security for the show, like literally everything that you could do for a show, organize the other bands. Hell, I even helped the other guitar players like set up and tune their like instruments like in the other bands
Sure.
because they weren't prepared.
Mm.
One bro snapped his string and didn't bring a spare guitar. I was like, okay, I'll set up my other guitar for you. You know,
Oh, rough.
great stuff.
Yeah.
All very DIY, classic punk. Even though we weren't a punk band at all. Yeah, I'm glad my cousin who has a wine lounge regularly hires artist bands to play there. That's nice. Yeah. I hope he pays them well, but realistically, or maybe she didn't specify, but realistically, like it's hard for venues to actually pay people properly. I don't really blame venues for not being able to pay artists properly. The only thing I really blame venues for at this particular point in time is doing no real promotion. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in Australia, most bars and pubs that have artists actually playing, like have musicians doing gigs and stuff, they don't promote at all, or like at the very little. Like they don't know shit about promotion. They can't get anyone through the doors. So yeah, of course it's all falling apart. You know, I come across so many promoters who literally don't promote. Their version of promoting is like, well, I hired this band to play. And you're like, and? Oh, that's it. What do you mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Pay their Sandy whether or not you get paid, but that too. Yeah, for sure.
Well, kind of a dark turn.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's a dark turn and like turn away from the main event.
When to be fair, yeah, we have kind of covered all of the main stuff that we wanted to talk about when it comes to like Buffy and Angel. So if there is anything else you guys want us to discuss or review or anything else before we head out, please get those questions in. We'll give you like a minute. We're not in any rush here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do have to get to filming if I can, if I have the brain power. Because I just started Divergent. I filmed the first one, so I've got to film the second and third one, preferably as soon as possible. I also did finished the Hunger Games. If you guys are interested in those, I've always loved YA type stuff.
Sorry. It's hard for me. I was just talking about how things took a dark turn and now they took a darker turn.
Hey, that's
which obviously, like these
somewhat.
stories are really good.
It's just because they're inherently dark.
Yes, yes, and with everything that's happening now.
Yeah. It is a little bit harder to watch post-apocalypse and / like dystopian type stories
when
right
we're
now.
living in that.
Yeah, we're living in the pre-dystopia.
Yeah. Woo!
I think some places are becoming the dystopia already.
So yeah, that's fun stuff.
Great times.
Yeah. But that's why we have all these shows and movies, that help us deal with stuff.
To teach us how to deal with these situations.
Both to teach and just like be somewhere else to be able to deal with what's here.
Yeah. So yeah.
I guess it's for you, yeah.
Despite all that, where might you announce gigs or things? Also, thanks for the stream. It was nice to catch up. Thank you. I don't know. I guess like the YouTube community posts, I'll probably announce it like several places. Like if I'm announcing anything, it would I probably put it on. I'll definitely put it on Patreon.
Yeah.
And also just like not for paid members, I put it for everyone, including the free members.
Yeah. So.
Any kind of announcement, I mean, like, what's the point?
Well, yeah,
putting behind
of
that
course.
paywall,
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, any kind of announcement that would go on the Patreon like free posts, but also just YouTube community. So my Movie Buds community posts, and then also Sam Maria channel community posts. Yeah. And realistically, I can't see myself actually being able to put together anything in terms of being able to perform a live show anytime literally this year.
Yeah.
It'd be things would have to go really well for that to happen. But I most definitely am going to be releasing my first single, hopefully sometime in the next couple of months, on, I guess, Spotify and YouTube. Like, I just want to put together a, not necessarily music video, but, like these days they call it an official visualizer, the low quality music video. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll announce those things, and I still haven't fully figured out in what ways I'm going to be releasing things. I think I'll set up a separate channel for music that will, like, any of my original music or any covers that are not related to movies specifically, I'll just put on that music channel. Whenever I do get to do that, there'll be announcements of that on
For
like
sure.
YouTube, Patreon, maybe Instagram. I don't know. As well. And then any covers that I'm doing that are specifically related to to movies or TV shows, I will put on the respective channel that houses that content. Like, I mean, like, I asked, my subscribers on the Movie Buzz channel if they wanted to hear me sing "Let It Go" or fully cover "Let It Go" when I did the Frozen movie, and enough people said yes. So I'm going to do that cover, and that will just go on the Movie Buzz channel because it's related to the content that I do on the Movie Buzz channel. I don't know how many people are actually, like, I mean, there's the 100 or so people who said they were interested. And realistically, once I put that go on the Movie Buzz channel, I'll probably get like 300 or 400 people actually watching it, and that's fine.
Sure.
It is mostly just for the fun of it. So
yeah.
Kelly, yeah. I know that you're into it, also being a musician. But yeah, hopefully I could set up that music page. I have to actually get my music on a digital music distributor, which isn't that hard, but it's just something that has to be done. But that first single, it was all completely finished and everything. I just need to promote it.
Put it out there.
I need to put it out.
Sure.
I need to put out.
You do.
Yes.
I keep telling you that.
Yes. So yeah.
But yeah, we'll probably be wrapping it up now.
I think so. Yeah. It seems like we've covered everything, right? I think everyone's all tapped out on Buffy and Angel. We've all covered it all.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I don't think there's anything like that we've missed in terms of things we're doing or how we're doing them or anything like that.
I can't say.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you for being here with us for this live stream. We weren't really sure if literally anyone would actually turn up for this live stream because it's been a while since we were actually doing the Buffy posts on YouTube.
And of course it's it's gonna be harder to make it for a lot of people, so that's totally understandable.
Yeah. Kelly, thank you for the updates and chatting. Thank you for being here.
For sure.
Kelly, much appreciated.
I'll watch back the start for the Buffy and Angel reaction. Section.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like here and there because we took a bunch of.
I think we started actually talking about the show around 20 minutes in.
Yeah,
before that, we kind of just talked about YouTube a little bit.
Yeah.
Tried to sort of explain because I know that there's still always going to be some people who don't fully know what we're doing or how or why.
Of course. So, yeah. Absolutely.
It is actually kind of hard to
makes a lot of sense.
Consistently communicate with a large number of people that you don't see face to face.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we do our best.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ray says take care, you two, and everyone else. Much love from here. Jade says bye. Jamie says thanks, guys, for all you do. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
For chatting and
just Man Bun did say previously, thanks for the stream. It was nice to catch up. So
yes,
thank you for that as well.
Definitely, it's really good for us too.
Yeah, this actually went pretty well overall. Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us, guys.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll see you guys either some of you on Patreon for the more Buffy episodes, or some of you maybe on one or both of our movie channels.
Yes.
And I hope you guys are enjoying that too.
Yeah.
And have a good week and all that other stuff.
See ya.
Bye. End. There we go. We're ended.